The Sims is released in North America, so if you need a break from everyday life, now there's a video game for it. Or you could jump into Resident Evil Code Veronica if you're more looking to battle zombies. The final new Peanuts comic strip was published one day after the passing of Charles Schulz, and the world also said goodbye to Jim Varney.
You know, Vern, it looks like a transmutation of your 110 and your 220, you know what I mean?
Martin Brodeur becomes the first goalie in NHL history to be credited with the game-winning goal, and Steely Dan released their first album in over 20 years. Also, Pitch Black starring Vin Diesel is released in theaters, kicking off a multimedia franchise that no one saw coming.
You're not afraid of the dark, are you?
But we're not here to talk about all that stuff, the hockey and the Vin Diesel and the Steely Dan. We're here to learn about the comic books of February 2000. So, I'm Haussmann Comics, your guide on this journey to the past of four-color paper printing and superheroes. Let's talk about the comics. Number one issues of note this month include Jack's Staff, Gemstone's War Against Crime, and Crime Patrol, also from Gemstone. Spider-Man Universe, Gundam Wing, Ring of the Nibelung Rheingold, Eve Proto-Mecha, Steampunk, Batgirl, and The Punisher. Yeah, we're going to talk about both of those more coming up, so stay tuned. But you're always wondering, what beat the Big Blue Boy Scout? What beat Superman? Captain America around this time was picking up steam. People will often say that before the MCU, characters like Captain America and Thor and Iron Man weren't as well known, but I beg to differ. While they aren't the big draws that they were from the 60s and 70s, and they certainly aren't doing X-Men numbers, Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor are all consistently selling in the top 20, well above the likes of Green Lantern, Flash, and Superman. And I mean, the MCU is still 10 years away at this point, but this is when they were starting to look at selling film rights to these characters. And Avengers is also consistently in the top 5 right now. So it's really unfair when people say, oh, these characters are nothing, they're unmarketable, they're unsellable. No, you didn't necessarily have to be a comic fan to know who Captain America and Iron Man and Thor were. They were up there. And especially if you were a comic fan, you really knew who they were. But speaking of characters that do have movies at this point, where is Blade selling right now? We got one Blade movie out so far. Blade's comic right now is at a number 104 spot. So, food for thought. And for this month's Spotlight, how can I not talk about the reintroduction of the Punisher with Welcome Back Frank? The Punisher was a product of the 70s, first debuting in Amazing Spider-Man number 129. Though his character would be shaped and developed over the next several years, it was really the 1990s where Frank Castle hit his peak. He had 3 ongoing titles at the same time. It was also in the 90s where many would consider the character hit his low, when he was given guns by angels and tasked with hunting demons. But as far as who the character is and how he would be known moving forward, that's almost entirely in the hands of Garth Ennis, and it all started right here with Welcome Back Frank. This kicked off what would be over a 100-issue run on the character for Ennis over 3 different titles, and it all started here in February of 2000 with Frank Castle doing what he does best, taking out scum. And this time he's got his sights set on the Nucci crime family. This run would go on to influence the Thomas Jane film and the awesome THQ PlayStation 2 video game, and I do understand that nowadays being a fan of the Punisher can come with certain things associated with it, but back then this was just pure fun. It was joy. The darker Punisher side of the Marvel Universe was a welcome addition, and I for one think all of you out there should check it out and read Welcome Back Frank. Speaking of things worth checking out, let's dive into the top 10 comics of February in the year 2000. Number 10 is Batgirl number 1, and I kind of don't even know what to do here. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with another DC title in the top 10, I'm just not used to it. Cassandra Cain is the new Batgirl, and she busts onto the scene in her very own ongoing series that will run for a successful 73 issues. Number 9 belongs to Daredevil issue 11 as we see him square off against Echo. Number 8 is a relatively low position for Spawn issue number 95. Number 7 is The Punisher number 1, which I've already spoken about at length. DC slips out of the top 5 as JLA number 40 takes the number 6 spot while continuing its lackluster streak. While Avengers number 27 secured the 5th spot with a 100-page monster that sees the roster shake up, and Triathlon joins the Earth's mightiest heroes. Number 4 is Arya and Angela, Heavenly Creatures. They know what they're doing here. And the top 3 books, again, are all X-Men books, but they did something here that I thought was really awesome at the time. Like I said, I was young and just getting into comics, young being 18. I was just new to comics and I wasn't quite sure how it all worked, but in one of the X-Men books, the High Evolutionary went and shut off X-Men powers. And then X-Men in all the other books didn't have powers because it was all interconnected, and I didn't know what to expect of this at the time. And I remember being at my local gas station, I picked up the X-Men stuff at the comic store in the city, and okay, they all have their powers, that's kind of cool. Then I was at the gas station in my town, And I remember seeing X-Force number 101, or whichever issue of X-Force it was, powerless, and there's a shot of cannonball falling out of the sky, and I was just like, what? So I picked that up, and I was like, well, the X-Force lost their powers too. Like, just learning it was all interconnected was such an eye-opener for me on what comic books were going to be, and I was so excited for it. And of course, I ended up picking up X-Force for a while after this, which is exactly what they wanted me to do. Big tie-in crossover story. The stories didn't even have anything to do with each other except for the loss of powers, but there I was, all of a sudden, buying another title every month, right? But yeah, I'm not here to talk about X-Force. That wasn't in the top 3. That was number 30. Number 3 was Wolverine number 149. Eric Larson ends his run on Wolverine team-up with Logan and Nova taking on the Reanimator. X-Men number 99 in the number 2 spot sees various mutants around the world dealing with their abrupt loss of powers. And in the top spot, we have Uncanny X-Men number 379. The X-Men are moving on and dealing with the loss of Cyclops, and then, as I alluded to earlier, the High Evolutionary decided to shut off mutant powers around the globe. So there you have it, folks. Those were the comics of February 2000. That's it. See you guys next time. Stay hossy. Check out all my videos because you're going to love them. I guarantee it. Guarantee's not worth anything, but I like them. Or you could jump into Resident Evil Cord I don't even know what to do here. I don't understand